up to Lolo Hot Springs. I want to take a soak, but this place has some history to me. Years ago, when I took my first job at Boeing, I was coming out here and I wanted to get off the road, and I found a flyer for some cross-country skiing at this place called Lolo Hot Springs. Anyways, I went in there and I ended up snowmobiling with some Washington guys for 2 days, and I ended up picking up this gal at this bar called the Jack. Yeah, just 2 days of debauchery. So right now I'm going to the hot springs to see what they have available, to see what's changed. Maybe even possibly play there, but I definitely need to take a soak. My muscles are wore out from that Scotchman's Peak a couple days ago with the Billy Goats. And yeah, so later on I'm going to go to this bar called the Jack. I guess it's still there. It was one of those bars where you could staple a dollar bill onto the wall, and it was a crazy bar. It had chainsaws hanging, I mean huge chainsaws hanging from the ceiling, and big hollowed out stumps for bar stools. It was just crazy. And I want to see if my dollar bill is still on there. I think I remember kind of where I put it. I do remember I wrote, I have friends in low places. And so anyways, that's what we're doing. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see how pretty this countryside is. Talk to you soon. So back here is the original bar called the Jack Saloon. It was here 25 or years ago when I passed through. It's where I met the infamous Moni Love. I will not reveal her real name in case I embellish on the rest of the story, but Moni Love was a gal that I met here when I was hanging out with those crazy boys from Spokane who convinced me to go snowmobiling as opposed to getting to Seattle and finding digs when I didn't even have a place to live yet and took my first job there. What a crazy 2 days of pure debauchery with these guys and this gal who was visiting her friend in Missoula at the time, and she was from further up north, and I might not even reveal that town. I'm just gonna say the name resembles a fish that is white. Just saying. They got cabins. Holy shit. The inside of the Jack Saloon still reminded me of the olden days. It did have a nice outdoor section where I played some cornhole with my new friends Aaron and Tim, and they had just met that night, and they seemed to really connect. I wonder whatever happened to these two lovebirds. Never did find my dollar bill. I guess they deemed the dollar bills stapled to the wall a fire hazard years back and turned them into various paper mache animal mouths throughout the bar. The next morning, I did a little bit of fishing with a couple locals, then went to the hot springs for a dip and eased my muscle pain, and then hit the pool for a little bit of lounging. Then it was off to Yellowstone.
Up before the sun, before the wind gets cold, cowboys packing heat, pushing cattle up and down the Yellowstone. It's a choice you make live and die alone. Ride high and shoot low from the saddle when you ride for the Yellowstone. When you ride for the Yellowstone. I can promise you there's a special place deep in the mountains of a lonesome road. It never gives more than it takes. There's always a train at the station on the Yellowstone. Keep your next to kin, bloodlines you told. You're better off getting crossed with the devil than to cross with Yellowstone. I can promise you there's a special place deep in the mountain on a lonesome road. It never gives more than it takes. There's always a train at the station on the Yellowstone. You come to take the land, or poison the soul. You can bet you're gonna meet your maker in the belly of the Yellowstone. Cowboys were here, now they're all but gone. Nothing but an airport sitting on the graves of Indian bones. On the graves of Indian bones. I can promise you there's a special place deep in the mountains of a lonesome road. It never gives more than it takes. There's always a train at the station, well, on the Yellowstone.